Welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. Robin and I take deep joy and immense commitment to bring this conversation to you week after week, because we believe that when women get together and they invest in each other, we build a world that is kind, gentle, humane, empowering, and strong. Because at the end of the day, women bring both physical, emotional strength and the spiritual resiliency to both the household and the community. And when we lift each other up and we support each other, we truly end up building a society and a community that is supportive of us. And nothing touches my heart personally than women investing in the younger generation of girls, because the girls are tomorrow's women, and how we guide them and support them and help them blossom into the beautiful flowers they are each meant to be, to bloom whenever their time is. We end up cultivating these amazing gardens, community after community. And today we're going to have one of those conversations, and I cannot wait for Robin to take it away.
Okay, I am so thrilled to introduce Lucy Santana to you. I met Lucy at a Comerica Women's Business Symposium, and Lucy was a speaker and also a recipient of a grant. And as soon as she stood up and started speaking, I said, oh my gosh, we have got to have her on our program. So I'm so thrilled. So tell us a little bit about Girls Inc., a very fascinating story. And you also have an amazing picture behind you, which has a story. So tell us a little bit about Girls Inc., what you do, what they do, and then we'll start going back and forth.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me here. And it's just, it was such a pleasure to meet you, Robin, and just really make that connection immediately at the WBS. But so I am very proud to be here today representing Girls Inc. of Orange County. I've had the opportunity to be involved with this organization since 1999, so a long time, and I'm currently leading as the CEO. But Girls Inc. of Orange County actually was established in 1954. And our original history is that we were the Girls Club of the Harbor area. And so we've been around for 69 years. We have been serving girls in various after school and summer camp capacities. In the late 80s, when girls clubs and boys clubs merged together, there was a whole set of girls clubs that wanted to stay gender specific and really true to the mission of serving the needs of girls. And so rather than going through a long litigious process, Girls Club gave up the name, and Girls Club came up with a new name. And the story is that a young lady, a young 9-year-old girl from Dallas, was asked, what do you think Girls Inc. should be, Girls Club should be renamed? And she said, Girls Inc., because growing up is serious business. And so for a long time, that was our tagline, growing up with serious business. And over the years, we've evolved. And so we all now, from a national perspective, utilize the same mission statement, which is to inspire girls to be strong, smart, and bold. And that really carries us through in all the work that we do. We've been around for a long time. We serve girls as young as kindergarten all the way through college and into the workforce, because we believe, as Kaz was saying in her introduction, that we are all part of a village, that we need to support women and we need to start young. And for us, starting young is important because we need to start teaching them about resiliency skills and tenacity and determination, but also motivation and focus and goal setting.
What a beautiful, beautiful mission. And to be a part of an organization that is that old, that means it has wisdom. It has all of that ancestral knowledge, and it has actually, in some direct and indirect ways, paved the way for the modernization of this society and all the benefits women are reaping today, right? This was women's rights in the United States didn't happen overnight.
Right.
And so as I'm listening to you talk, what excites me is also connecting what you're saying to the picture behind you. And it has the word strong, right? If I am correct.
Yes.
Can you talk about the way in which that picture came about and how it inspires you every day when you walk into your office to do what you do and keep the mission alive?
Absolutely. So we truly believe that we have to provide inspiration in a variety of ways for girls. And through one of our summer camps 24 years ago, we did an activity, and it was really around creative expression and self-expression. And even if one of our girls thought that they're not artistic, it was really a project around exploring their own self-identity. And the person who led this activity was on a college campus. And really it was around putting together what they were thinking about into this drawing. And so it's individual tiles that every girl has a story and put together. And it was put together. So we have 3 of these interspersed in our office. We have strong, we have smart, and we have bold. But that's what it's really about, is if we're asking girls to commit to a 4-week summer camp with Girls Inc. from 8 to 5 all day long, we really, not only are they learning, but we're helping them to learn through interactive ways, maybe non-traditional ways where they're not learning in the classroom. So sometimes they don't know they're even learning, right? Because it's really about a conversation or a dialogue. And for us, every time I walk into this office and I see this strong message, it just reminds me of how important it is to have tenacity and to make sure that we are reaching the most underserved girls in our county. Even though we serve girls from all walks of life, that is one of our focus areas, right? Because we know that some of them need those additional resources to be able to be successful. And for us, as we look at how we implement our programming and we talk about putting our mission into practice through equipping them with how to navigate gender stereotypes, making sure that they're equipped to understand their economic self-sufficiency and how they're going to get there, and also how to become independent adults that can make good decisions for themselves, all through obviously goal setting and really setting realistic expectations for themselves.
Beautiful. It is, as Cass has already said, it is so inspiring hearing you talk about your mission and how you accomplish it, you know, the strong, the bold, I'm forgetting the smart. Is that the third word, smart?
Yes, it is. Yes.
And since the organization, well, the national organization has been around since 1864, so 150 years, however many years that is. And your organization has been around for 70 years next year. And you've been with the organization for, 24, almost 25 years. My question is, how have the challenges changed? How have the challenges stayed the same? And how have the challenges changed over the time that you've been working with these young women?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I've seen, challenges have changed and in different ways from a local perspective as well as in a national perspective. And I feel that the original mission of girls clubs was to provide a place for girls to learn how to be good homemakers, how to learn how to sew, how to learn how to cook, how to throw a party, and how to make sure that your husband was well taken care of and that the children were, right? So I think in concept, way back in 1864, that was fine. But I think as women started entering the workforce, I think that's obviously where we saw a lot of change. And I think that the things that haven't changed are that there are specific needs for girls and women that we need to really focus on. We still see that there are gender stereotypes. We still see that young girls become more adverse to math and science, and we want them to pursue that. So it's something that we want to continue to ensure that they are being exposed to early on so that they will consider pursuing those careers and jobs as well. I think the other thing is that as we've moved into this new century, and we have all as women experienced this, that local politics and national politics also affect women and girls in different ways. And so we've seen that throughout the years, right? When there is legislation that isn't helpful for women or for girls, that affects the programming that we do. That affects the barriers of what girls might have. But at the end of the day, it's really around ensuring that what doesn't change is that they're being exposed to opportunities and are being able to be led through a process of how to, and it's everything from when we work with young girls, it's exposure, right? We really talk about exposure, but it's also around mentorship and how do we connect them to people. And if a girl is growing up in a home where maybe most, all they have ever seen is blue collar workers, domestic workers, we want to make sure that they're being exposed to a lot of other different careers and jobs as they go into middle school, that they are challenging themselves to take that additional math class or join the coding club and to learn that. So I think it's still about girls learning and finding their voice. It's how to speak up for themselves so that they can assert their rights, because we feel like that is a continuous conversation that doesn't ever go away. It might kind of go steady and we'll be okay for a while, and then all of a sudden something comes up and it's like, no, you need to talk, you need to speak up for yourself. And that's everything from, if they're growing up with language barriers in their home, their parents might not be able to be advocates for themselves, so they have to learn how to be advocates for themselves. And even going into the workforce early on with our high school girls, it's really around, how do you give them access to women that are in leadership roles and roles of authority? And when I talk about access, it's about hearing their stories, because nobody made it to the top in one straight line, not everybody. And so really understanding that you might have a zigzag journey to where you end up, but there is a story that everybody has, and we can all learn and glean something from it.
That is so insightful to hear you talk about. And that actually cuts across every strata of society when it comes to girls. One of the things I see even in grown professional women is that self-image they bring into the workplace, no matter how well-heeled, how well-educated they are, that programming that is given by the household, by the family, by the community. Because, there are enough comedians who talk about when a mom has a daughter and a son, the son is the precious child, the daughter is always too fat for that dress, not smart enough for that job, not committed enough to accomplish anything. There is such negative thoughts put in the girls as they are growing up, and even as grown professional, successful career women struggle to deal with it. Body image, self-image issues. How can Girls Inc. help with that? And what is the lesson you can take from helping young girls and parlaying that to help grown women? Because we still have opportunity in that space for women.
Absolutely. I think several things. Body image, a conversation around body image is always held in all of our programs, whether we're working with the littles, the middle school, or the high school into college. It is a real thing, body image, self-confidence, self-worth, seeing yourself as a different person. We talk a lot to the girls about that imposter syndrome, which I think you're talking about, that we carry with us in every stage of our life, and even as professional women, right? I'm in different situations and meetings sometimes, and that's sometimes where the conversation goes to, especially when you walk into a room and there's still not enough women in the room that have leadership positions. So part of what we do is we really break down those stereotypes and those barriers when you're talking about, like, you may be growing up in a home that is culturally different to somebody else's, where maybe there's different messages about how boys are treated versus how girls are treated. But at the end of the day, it's really helping them to find the skill sets to be more resilient, to overcome that. And we do it from basics to really digging deep. From, when you see a model on a magazine cover, that is not how she looks. She did not wake up that way. And so really looking at how the media portrays movie stars, actresses, even regular women in magazines are made up, right? And so really digging deep to make sure that they're understanding that there is always some kind of facade and that you need to be proud of who you are. I mean, we do programming around a prom. We help the girls get dressed for prom, and we have all sizes of dresses, all kinds of outfits. And we love the fact that it has become much more acceptable for girls to wear pantsuits. Why wear a dress if you don't want to? You can wear really cool sneakers. You have to express yourself in that particular way and feel confident about your body in whatever you wear. But I think it's also important that as we're looking at what are those disparities that are happening, that they're also learning about what else can they see from themselves. So when we talk to them about the imposter syndrome, a lot of the girls that we work with are the first in their family to graduate from high school. So their family has not experienced that transition and that journey of applying for college or going away to college, let alone, being able to fund it. And so we really have to walk them through that. It's not just educating girls about how do you get into college and what's the college experience going to be like, but it's also educating the families on this is how you can support your daughter. She's going to be the first in your family, but think about how that's going to change the trajectory for your family as well. And so it's really about breaking down the experiences that are going to happen. Because if you don't have anybody in your life that's gone to college before, they're not going to understand all the nuances. And I was the first in my family to go to college. And I think this is why Girls Inc. resonates so much with me. I remember my mom saying, why do you have to be at the library till 11 o'clock at night? Like there's study groups and we all get together when we can. And so it's just a very different way of learning about what life is going to bring to you.
Yeah. I'm loving what you're talking about. And, the whole journey from from a kindergartner's clear up going through college and all of those nuances and all those steps to have someone walk them through. What I'm thinking about right now is a lot of news media on the mental health challenges of youth, especially coming through COVID, 100-year pandemic. And especially also looking at social media and girls, depression and girls. So there's all of these modern, I don't know if I would call them modern. I'm sure that there were girls who were depressed in the 1800s, but, all of these modern ills that are, I don't know if I want to use the word attacking girls, but a lot of modern ills. How does Girls Inc. deal with that aspect with these girls and kind of mentally helping them be strong, smart, and bold in the midst of these modern challenges?
What's been really great is that we've always weaved in social emotional learning into our programming. It really is about you cannot be prepared to do well academically if you are not mentally sound, if you don't have that self-esteem, if you don't feel that self-worth. And so when we started hearing more and more about what that was happening, we really dug deep and we put our heels into the ground and said, now more than ever, we have to continue to do what we've been doing and amp it up, right? Do it to the next level. And so we created programs that were even more specific to having those conversations. And a lot of it was around creating spaces for girls where they felt safe, right? So the first thing was, if you don't feel safe at home, if you don't feel safe at school, Girls Inc. is going to be that safety net for you. And through the safety net, we're going to introduce you to others that can help that, because we know that Girls Inc. can't do it alone, right? We're in a village, we bring in resources, we collaborate, but it really is around continuous conversations around just how do you feel better? How do you feel healthier? And that is, strong mind and strong body, but really teaching them coping skills as well, yoga, stress reduction skills, and just really doing those activities that could create visualization, meditation. So we've done all of those, but then we've also put things into practice. So do role playing. If you're in this situation and we have a group of girls where they know it's a safe space, how did you handle this when you were feeling this way? And really creating that for them. And I think that that's really important. And I think this is where I really do feel that mentorship comes in. Our team educators are mentors, the first line of educators, but we also expose them to a lot of other mentors in different ways, especially as they need to continue to navigate growing up, right? Adulthood and becoming adults, but also how do you also stay true to addressing the social media thing, right? Because we know that social media has contributed to some of that, because now everything is immediate. Before, if you weren't at school, you didn't really know what everybody else was doing until you got back to the school the next day. Now it's a 24-hour thing if you're following people. And so really kind of talking about the social ills of what the good parts of what social media brings, and also the ones that you need to sift through and say, I'm not going to let that affect me. I'm not going to let that get to me. So I think that's really important in terms of having continuous conversations around it.
Oh, Cass, you're on mute.
Thank you. That is such a valuable and relevant approach given where we are today. And with all the AI and other developments, I am really thrilled to hear you say that. So you had talked earlier about introducing girls to STEM. And so I'm trying to connect these two. The future of the world is not going to look at STEM as an added skill. It is going to be basic literacy, right? Just like you need to learn to do math and read, you need to understand the STEM concepts to live everyday life, because that's where technology is taking us. How can we bring that level of awareness to young women and communities that are not affluent enough to have that around them, except they see videos of that in social media, right? So they're consuming other people's interpretation, but they don't have exposure to it. How is Girls Inc. making it possible for them to actually get exposure and experiential learning?
Mm-hmm. Well, a couple of different ways. There's 3 things that we do that bring to life that. So one is career exploration, and that means everything from doing the online research about different jobs and different careers, but it's also about the day-to-day practicality of how you incorporate science, technology, and engineering into your day-to-day lives. I think that's what's really important. And one way that we've bridged that gap is a couple of ways. One is we have a program called Girls Meet the Workforce. And these girls start in this program at 9th grade. And it is an intense program where they're learning everything about the workplace. So there's the side of learning about resume writing, interview skills, how to dress for success, how to find your first job, how do you follow up? What's the workplace etiquette, your responsibility to your job. We teach them all of that. The other piece of that is getting them in front of companies and women in leadership roles within these companies to actually learn from them, because that's really where they're going to learn. They're visual learners, but they're also hands-on learners, right? Mm-hmm. And so to your point is we're working with companies as big as Allergan and Ingram Micro and Boeing and Edwards Life Sciences and global companies, as well as mid-sized to small, because we want to get them exposed and we want them to see how technology, how engineering and AI and all of that is in a practical sense in every workspace. So I think that's really important. And I think the bigger piece is also the mentorship, that we work with women to serve on career panels to talk about their journeys, but we also ask them to mentor girls beyond their high school graduation. And most recently in the last 2 years, we were recipients of a grant through our national organization, and Girls Inc. was one of 7 organization affiliates that got this, and it's called Project Accelerate. And now what it is we're working beyond high school with our girls into college, because this is part of our long-term, how are girls faring after coming through our programs for various ways. And it really is around ensuring that girls have a place in the workplace. And to your point, it's really around, it's not just enough to talk about it, but it's for them. It's so important for them to see the practicality and the hands-on part of that.
Beautiful. This some of your comments to me make a good segue into, we focused on the girls. What about the women who are helping the girls, and how do you find these women who will come in and be mentors to them? What have been some of their growth experiences?
Yeah, great question. So some of the companies that I mentioned, we work with them and we recruit women from them to become the mentors. We also work with different women in leadership groups within our county, as well as just women that want to give back. And we actually do a very thorough training, because we want the mentors to feel equipped to be able to answer the questions that the girls might have. We encourage them to connect on LinkedIn and become professional, create those professional relationships. But I think what we have heard is that sometimes women are like, I'm not sure I can be helpful. How am I going to do this? But as they get to know the girls and they realize that they're the way that they are leading them through the questions they're asking to navigate maybe college or their first job is really important and very critical. And the women that are coming back to us and saying, well, first of all, which we want to hear, we want to sign up again because this was such a rewarding experience that I didn't think it was going to be something I could do. And the girls really are really great about getting back to them and saying, hey, Robin, this is the way you helped me. I learned this from you. And that's continuous that we ask. I just got an email this week from a company who said, our girl just sent us, the girl that had been placed at their work site for an externship. She just sent us a note saying that she got accepted to UC Davis. She's going to go off to college. We're super proud of her. And so it becomes like an extension of your family. And I think that's what's really important. And for us, we ask the girls to invest over 40 hours of time in this Girls Meet the Workforce program because it is really important that they're prepared. And what I love is that when our companies come back to us to give us feedback about the experience of having a girl placed at their work site, they said, your girls, which are high school girls, were much better prepared than some of our college interns. So for us, it's a really rewarding feeling to hear that.
Oh, that's music to my ears as I hear you say that, Lucy. So we can talk for hours and days about this, right? Because this is an area of our life commitment for you and Robin and I. As unfortunately, we have to bring this to a close. So my closing question to you is, if you had a few words of wisdom or 2 or 3 things women can take with them to then take what you are doing and plant the seed and be an ally to the Girls Inc. and propagate that mission in other ways, what would those be?
I think that volunteering and mentorship is really important. And I think that sometimes people can feel like that could be overwhelming or that they have to invest a lot of time. But what we have found is if you can invest 2 hours, if you can invest 10 hours or a whole year, every touch point that you have with a young girl to be able to share your story and your journey is really important, and it is going to make a difference. And I think that sometimes, and I alluded to this before, is that you do have a story. We all have our own story. I thought I was going to be somewhere else 25 years ago, and here I am today. And it's been an amazing journey, right? It's not where I started off. I didn't think I was going to be a CEO of a nonprofit, but here I am. And the fact that we touch 7,500 girls' lives a year is super important. So we do need more women to be involved and to tell their stories. I think the more we hear women's stories, the more we're going to be able to create a safety net for our girls that they have access to. It's a wealth of information that I think is super important. And I think with our Project Accelerate program, where we need more mentors, or our Girls Meet the Workforce, where we need more companies to invest in girls, I think that's also super powerful.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
So one of the things Robin and I will offer as we conclude this conversation is we're featuring different women every week. I strongly encourage you and your organization and the girls you support to subscribe to this channel and get the wisdom and the information. And if there is any woman you see featured here that you see the value of coming and speaking to the girls, collaborating with the girls, let us know. We can make it happen. The whole purpose of why we are doing this is every woman is trying to do her thing, her way, in her corner of the world. We want to bring the power of bringing all of that light together. So in my mind, I have this image where every woman is taking her light and passing it on to 2,000 girls, right?
Yes.
What if we all line it up? We have a runway where each young girl can have her dreams take off and land very, very safely and securely and resiliently. So please take us up on the offer. Absolutely. And have the community engage, and we will do our best to bring the community to support your cause as well. And to those of you who are listening and engaging with us, this is actually a call to action to all of you. None of us come into this world alone. None of us succeed alone. And our true power in our ability to collaborate and lift each other up. So please bring your communities together, recommend women we need to feature, bring young and older women who can benefit from this, into the community as audience to listen, learn. And wouldn't it be amazing? The ones who come to listen and learn 2 years down the road get featured. That is the power of the community we're building. So ladies, go out there and keep transforming lives, because in the end, the lives we sustain is always going to be our own.